That's perfect.
Right? Okay, let's check out our Unit 4 Comprehension Check. I'm going to complete problem number 1 with you so that you are more than capable of doing 2, 3, and 4. I figure answering this first one will really help to set the stage. For number 1, we're told the graph below represents the number of tickets that a theater must sell in order to generate $350 in revenue from ticket sales. We notice that we can identify ordered pairs just by looking at the graph. So for instance, when the theater sells 50 adult tickets, they have to sell 40 children's tickets. That's how they'll make the $350, right? If the theater sells 60 adult tickets, then they only need 20 children's tickets, and so on and so forth. That's just reading the graph. One of the first things I like doing with problems like this is identifying what my X is and what my Y is. So when we think about this logically, we see the X-axis is labeled adult tickets. We see that the Y-axis is labeled children's tickets. So that's going to be really, really helpful to us to be able to say, well, I know what the ordered pair represents, and I'm going to use this in deciphering what to do with this problem. Okay. Part A asks us to look at the graph and then determine what the y-intercept is. So having said that, we're going to look at this graph carefully. We know that the y-intercept is where the line hits the y-axis. What is the ordered pair for the y-intercept? Would somebody share that just by looking at that graph? What is the y-intercept?
0, 140.
Yes. Notice that Allie represented the y-intercept as an ordered pair. She knows that if she simply shouted out 140, we'd be like, 140 what? Like, where is that on this graph? Always think back to Battleship. You need 2 coordinates to find a spot to place that missile, right? And see if you catch the ship. So we write the y-intercept as an ordered pair 0, 140. And what does this mean? So recall that the theater is selling tickets. We also recall that the X coordinate refers to adult tickets and the Y coordinate refers to children's tickets. So what we could say in this particular context is that the theater must sell 0 adult tickets and 140 children's tickets to make $350. That would be one possible description. You also could say when the theater sells 0 adult tickets, they must sell 140 children's tickets to make $350, right? That will also work. It says the same thing. Any questions on part A and being able to dissect that ordered pair?
So we have to write this in for the answer, correct?
Yes, all of this has to be in your answer. Remember, you're looking at the graph, check. You wrote the y-intercept 0, 140, check. What does it mean in terms of this word problem? A statement. If you don't have that statement, you're not answering the question. You're just kind of breezing past this. So I don't want you to make that mistake.
Got it. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
I have
Let's
a
take
question.
Oh yeah, Allie, go for it.
So I'm probably just missing this boat. Oh, where did you get the $350?
From the original statement. So the graph below represents the number of tickets that a theater must sell in order to generate $350 in revenue from ticket sales.
Then how do we know like the price of the tickets?
You don't know the price of the tickets. The graph only tells you the number of tickets. The combination is what gives you $350 in revenue.
Okay, it's just a little confusing.
Always think you're given the information in terms of how much you're earning, and your goal is not to figure out the cost per ticket. Right now, we just want to figure out what the combination is that would provide that.
Okay, so we're saying that each point on the graph represents 350 tickets.
Yes, a combination. That's exactly correct.
Got it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And also notice that I provided a tip for each of you. I believe every word problem has a tip like this. So make sure you look at that, read it, dissect it. And I think that will also help as well. Next, we're going to look at the graph and identify the X intercept. So because I have to move this down, I'm going to get rid of all of this. So we want to find the X intercept. Looking at this graph, so not Allie, someone else, what is the X intercept?
70,0.
Perfect, 70,0. Again, when Jennifer provides the X-intercept, she's providing an ordered pair. It's not just some random number she's pulling out of thin air. She's looking at where the line hits the X-axis, and that happens here at the ordered pair 70, 0. We're now ready to decide what this means in terms of the word problem. So I'll write this just a little bit differently. The theater must sell 70, and notice the 70 is in the X position and X is adult tickets. So the theater must sell 70 adult tickets if they sell 0 children's tickets in order to make $350 in revenue. So notice how I'm writing it out. It's essentially the same thing as the previous problem, but I've just decided to word it a little bit differently in case you were wording it a little bit differently yourself. But the context is still there. I didn't say anything that doesn't refer to the problem itself. Okay, the theater must sell 70 adult tickets if they sell 0 children's tickets in order to make $350 in revenue. That's what that ordered pair is telling us. Okay. Next, we are going to look at, let me scroll this down. Let's see, hold on, give me 1 second. This is going to move a little bit, but I'll actually move that. So notice for part C, it asks us to use the intercepts from part A and B to calculate the slope. As a reminder, we said that the y-intercept was 0, 140 as a reminder. Obviously, there's a statement there. So I'm going to use these two intercepts to calculate the slope. We know the slope equation. The formula for slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So again, using the information that we have learned this unit. And then we're going to plug in our values. We can call our 0 here x1, and the 140 could be y1. Our 70 can be x2, and our 0 can be y2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to use this information in our slope formula. So m is equal to y2 is 0 minus y1, which is 140. X2, which is 70, minus X1, which is 0. We're going to go ahead and do this math. This is going to give us negative 140 over a positive 70. When you reduce this, what are you left with? Excuse me, what are you left with for your slope?
2.
What kind of 2?
Negative.
So we see that m is negative 2 over 1. Recall that when we decided to interpret slope, we thought about what slope is. We know that in the numerator of slope, that's the change in y, right? And in this context, the change in y is the change in children's tickets, okay? The change in y refers to the change in children's tickets because y is children's tickets, which means the change in x refers to the change in adult tickets. So what we could say is that for every 2 fewer children's tickets, the theater must sell an additional adult ticket. You see how that's happening? Notice the numerator is a negative 2. This refers to the number of children's tickets, where the denominator is the number of adult tickets. So let me write it out again, or let me write out what I stated. the slope says for every, we could say for every 2 fewer tickets. Yeah. For every 2 fewer children's tickets, the theater must sell an additional adult ticket. And we could say an additional 1 adult ticket. You don't have to have that 1 in there. An additional ticket implies 1. But so for every 2 fewer children's tickets, the theater's got to sell an additional adult ticket. And that's how they keep that $350 in revenue. They have to balance it out. Okay, that's what that slope is telling us. Remember, the numerator is a change in Y. That's the change in children's tickets. The denominator is a change in X, which is a change in adult tickets. It's a -2, so we're decreasing 2 in children's tickets, and we're increasing 1 in the adult ticket. Any questions on that so far? The really great thing about all of this that we just constructed is that for part D, all I have to do now is write the equation in slope-intercept form. We have a slope, we have a y-intercept. We have all the information we need to simply write the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and take my tool here, and I'm just going to write out the equation. We know the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Y equals, we know that m is -2. We don't need to write -2/1. We could just leave it -2. So -2x, mx, and then plus b. Our b is the y-intercept, which is a positive 140. And that represents the equation of the line. And that concludes problem number 1. I do see there's, okay, perfect. So that concludes problem number 1. Any other questions on this particular assignment? Since we do have 3 additional exercises, I wanted to at least show you this first one so that you can feel confident about moving forward. And again, for those of you who may have joined late, there was a description here for part A, but it was removed only because I had to shift the entire screen up. All right. Perfect.
I have a question.
Okay,
It's
go
not on the
application.
format. I tried to download it. I got it to print, but I couldn't get, it wouldn't let me edit it.
Okay.
So I couldn't put it right on there. I guess, is it in any other form other than PDF?
It can be, it definitely can be. I can convert it to a Word document and then pass it on. Hopefully the graphs don't get skewed, but if you're able to print it, then you're probably better off just kind of writing it in there by hand and then just scanning it and then uploading it.
Yeah, I
Okay,
was
very good.
it out perfectly at work. So
Okay, that'll be good because I think if I convert to Word, it's going to look really messy. I think the graph is going to end up shifting, which will be kind of a pain. So yeah, just print it out, write all over that sucker, and then upload it into Lumen.
So you submit it on the submission page and in the grade book, blah, blah, blah. Okay, very good.
Yeah, check it out. Right here is where you'll find that comprehension check, and this is where you're going to submit it. So if you click this link and then say, I'm just going to do start. It says submit your scanned upload receipt. So you're going to choose your file and then you'll choose it because you'll scan it and send it to your computer. You'll choose that file and then it'll upload. Keep in mind that when you scan, it's got to be one document. So make sure that you keep scanning until you've taken care of all 4 pages. That's one document and then upload it here. It will be a PDF if you scan according to how I have recommended to you. If you're concerned about how to scan, remember I have that instruction here, how to scan documents. It tells you how to scan using your iPhone or using your Android. I will tell you that if for whatever reason these are not doing what you want them to do, then you can use an app called Genius Scan. And I'm going to just type that here for you since this video is still recording. So Genius Scan will allow you to scan each page and then save it. And you can email it to yourself, put it on your desktop, and then upload it into Lumen. All right. Genius Scan automatically turns your documents into PDFs. And if you do the appropriate steps for the iPhone or the Android, you can also get a PDF that way too. Okay. Beautiful.